Ever since the first Huawei Watch GT smartwatch was released, the models in this series have been quite popular. Huawei has struck a very specific set of features which seems to cater to many users, mainly the classic design, long battery life, and essential useful smart capabilities along with an attractive price. This year we got another refresh with two new models, a Huawei Watch Fit, which is something completely different and which we will have a look at in another video, and Watch GT2 Pro, a watch which continues in the path of GT, GT2 and their Active and E variations. I'll say it right away, there's something new in every segment, even though, to be honest, we expected it to be pretty much the same old Watch GT. You could even say that the difference between GT2 Pro and GT2 is bigger than the one between GT and GT2, at least in the moment of their release. The reason for this lies perhaps mainly in all that's been happening to Huawei during the previous year, and their new business strategy in which the wearables are playing a bigger role. So let's see what's new, what's changed, and what Huawei Watch GT2 Pro has to offer to any new smartwatch users as well as those looking to upgrade. The first thing you'll notice is the design, which is quite different than on the previous models. Screen bezel is almost completely absent, so the entire top surface is covered in glass, which makes the screen appear larger than it really is. We mentioned this since Watch GT2 Pro comes with the same 1.39-inch AMOLED screen with 454 by 454 pixel resolution that we've seen on all the previous GT models, but that now looks sized up due to the optical illusion. The scale around the screen is still there, but is also placed under the glass in the form of 2.5mm wide margin, which is almost in the same plane as the screen. Since the bezel is usually there not only for visual style, but also to protect the screen, the glass in this case is sapphire crystal, which is usually reserved for special cases to provide maximum ruggedness. We'll see how it's going to perform long-term in real use, but we certainly give this solution points for style. Let us know in the comment section whether you agree with us or not. Watch body is made of titanium instead of stainless steel, so the GT2 Pro is evidently a step above other GT models in terms of materials used. Since the build quality was really good before, we can't quite say that GT2 Pro is a class above, but the watch certainly looks premium. Body shape has also changed, so instead of the more classic look with distinct bracelet attachment points, the space between them is now covered, which I'm usually not a fan of, but in this case it actually works. On the right side there are two keys, also made of metal, with a texture that led us to think that they may support rotation like Apple Digital Crown, but no, they only support a simple press, which activates a list of applications, a list of activities, or takes you back to the main screen. To perform other actions, you will have to touch the screen, which I'm not a fan of. One rotating encoder would have made it so much more practical to use, but oh well, maybe we'll see that on a Watch GT3. The bottom of the watch also looks different than on previous Huawei watches, since it's made of glass instead of plastic and houses new optical sensors with smaller LEDs. Watch GT2 Pro comes in single size 46.7mm, which is 0.8mm more than on its predecessors. There are two variations, Night Black and Nebula Grey, which are not that different in colors, so the black one is slightly darker gray than the gray one. The biggest difference is the strap, which is made of black silicone on Night Black and of gray genuine leather on Nebula Grey. Both of those are high quality, and black silicone one is probably one of the best of its kind I've seen so far. Both are replaceable, so you can use any 22mm aftermarket strap instead. As we've mentioned, the screen remained the same as on previous models, which is fine since it's still more than good enough for this type of device, with excellent resolution and brightness and vivid colors. Watch faces have changed though, especially the default one, which was made with new watch design in mind, and fits well with new bezel, giving the watch that full screen look, while looking quite elegant. Good news is that the selection of available watch faces is now pretty large, and there's a lot to choose from, both analog and digital, elegant, and those cartoonish ones that look like they were made by a 10-year-old. The quality of watch faces is not quite on a level of Galaxy Watch, but we are at the point where we can't complain, since there's enough of them so that everyone can find at least a few good ones. The watch also supports always-on screen mode, so that actually looks like a watch while you're wearing it, and this mode has its own selection of 6 different watch faces, which are selected separately from the regular ones, and are used only when the watch is in standby. Thing is, while the default watch face has its always-on equivalent that fits the same style, most others don't. So we think that this may not have been the best approach, and that it would have been better for every watch face to also have its always-on version integrated in the same file, like it is done on some other manufacturers' models. As usual, managing and customizing the watch is done via Huawei Health app, which this time brought us a big surprise. a section for installing new apps on the watch, the lack of which was the biggest complaint many users had on previous Watch GT models. We're glad this was finally added, and even though you can currently install only 2 simple games, it shows that Huawei is working on expanding its app gallery software ecosystem, both for its mobile phones and wearables. Does that mean you will be able to use Strava or Spotify on your Watch GT 2 Pro sometime soon? We don't know, but at least things are moving in the right direction. Speaking of apps, the ones you get on the watch by default are almost the same as on the Watch GT 2, like compass, timer, barometer, pulse and stress level meters, breathing exercises, app for playing music on your phone or the watch's internal memory, etc. You can also make voice calls by using the watch, check notifications and messages, though unfortunately you can't reply without using your phone. The only truly new app is the SpO2 meter, which measures the blood oxygen saturation, a feature we've been seeing on many models this year, since in the age of pandemic it's not only useful for sportsmen but for general population as well. While we're talking about apps and Huawei Health, there's something important to emphasize. If you own a Huawei or Honor smartphone, everything will work as intended. If on the other hand you own an Android phone made by another manufacturer, to get all the features you'll need to install Huawei App Gallery, which is not found on Play Store but needs to be downloaded from Huawei website in the form of an APK file. After installing it, you need to create or log into your Huawei account, install HMS Core and install updated Huawei Health, which is found only on App Gallery. It's not a complicated process, but the problem is that a lot of users won't be aware it's required, since there's no notification or instructions, and may miss out on important functions like app and watch updates, additional watch faces and more. Once you install all that's required, the watch seems like a whole different and much better device. Huawei Watch GT 2 Pro runs on Huawei Lite OS we've seen on previous devices, fueled by the same Kirin A1 processor as the GT 2. User interface is not ideally fluid, but offers a decent experience, which most users won't have any complaints about, unless perhaps they've been previously spoiled by Galaxy Watch. On the other hand, the efficient chip has a huge advantage in battery life, so GT2 Pro offers up to 14 days of use on a single charge. Battery life is especially impressive considering that pulse, sleep and stress tracking are active 24/7, which is something that on some competing models additionally cuts down already modest battery life. We also tested the watch with always-on mode and got about 7.5 days of use, which is great, maybe even a bit better than on previous models. Speaking of better, the boring old white charger that was there since Watch GT1 was finally replaced with a modern wireless charger, still white, which can offer up to 10 hours of use for only 5 minutes of charging. The constant biometric tracking allows the watch to create very detailed data analysis, which is something Huawei does pretty well. For example, you can see the exact date and time someone pissed you off, how your pulse had varied during the day and night, and detailed analysis of time you spent in light or deep sleep, REM phase or awake, along with recommendations for getting better rest. As for fitness options, this is the smartwatch with by far the most supported activities we've seen so far. Besides the usual sports we've seen on GT2 and many other models, which the watch can also automatically recognize, there's also a bunch of martial arts, gym workouts, different dance styles, golf, frisbee, darts, fishing, and some activities I'm not sure I can even pronounce right. Since the watch is also 5 ATM certified waterproof, there's also a lot of water sports as well as some winter and extreme sports. For the fans of outdoor and hiking, there's also a new backtrack option, a digital breadcrumbs if you will, that will allow you to get back to your starting point. Also, the watch offers warnings in case of severe weather changes based on the barometric readings. We were unable to test all of this since there are simply too many options, but we do feel Watch GT2 Pro is a very capable sports watch with a lot of useful features and some advanced capabilities like blood oxygen saturation and VO2 max measurements. Pulse tracking is fairly accurate, though we felt like the algorithm that processes the sensor data uses a larger buffer, so the tracking of fast pulse changes can lag a bit, which is something that can probably be improved with a software update. All in all, Huawei Watch GT2 Pro is undoubtedly the best Huawei watch so far, and a device that will be liked by those who enjoyed the company's previous wearables, as well as by some new users who previously passed on Watch GT due to some missing functions. Improved design and capabilities, as well as a superb battery life, make this watch a very good choice, and we do hope Huawei will continue to improve its software ecosystem, which could take this watch to a next level. As for the price, Watch GT2 Pro will cost you about €330 or $390. So after you've seen our review, let us know in the comment section what are your thoughts on this watch and how do you feel it compares to other models currently on the market. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing for more interesting tech content. You were watching Bench House, my name is Ivan, and I'll see you next time.